Hattie, hi, good to see you. Are you well?
Yes, you?
Yeah, all good, thanks very much. So look, delighted that we're working in partnership as we go forward, and we'll discuss that in a second. But let's talk about last year, firstly, for you, because that was quite a traumatic year, wasn't it?
It was a bit tough, yeah. I think that's an understatement. 18 years of something that I'd worked really hard to build up sort of evaporated through no fault of my own, which was tough.
Incredibly tough, isn't it? And the year before, you'd been voted, obviously, London Caterer of the Year.
It's best small caterer. I can't take the award away from the others, but no, yes, we'd just done really, really well. And we're getting recognised. We'd got ourselves onto a number of London venues, Blenheim Palace as a Sunday caterer, and then winning that award. And we had opportunities. We were going to be having our busiest summer. We'd achieved the recognition that we'd worked really hard for.
Oh, that's really good. And it'd been an 18-year building process. How did you get into it in the first place?
Not intentionally.
No, it's always the way, isn't it?
Yeah, I had a proper job. I worked in recruitment for a headhunting firm ages ago.
Oh, I didn't know that. Who did you work for?
They were called, oh my God, you can't say that. I can't remember what they're called. Project Partners is what they were called. They're now called something else. But I've worked with all three directors of that. I was very kindly fired for my lack of placing anybody. We specialised in quantitative analysts, which is just an area that I'm not particularly skilled at. And yeah, so I was left out of work with a mortgage, and I spoke to a friend over the Christmas period, and he recommended that I go and work in By Word of Mouth's kitchen because he knew I absolutely love cooking. He knew that I loved events, and I stayed there on and off for 2 years before setting up on my own. But I worked in Rhubarb and Alison Price and other kitchens as well.
And why do you love events so much?
I just love the people element of it. I love getting together. I love the organisation. I love the logistics. I love all the suppliers. I love the camaraderie behind the scenes, which the guests don't ever see. I love the problems. I love the pulling together. I just think it's really fun. You know, every single event has an obstacle that needs to overcome. You know, whether it's getting something into a building or when we were working at Blenheim, you had an hour to get all the tables done and dusted and laid up ready for the guests. And it's just that sort of constant high energy, which I think is brilliant.
Well, there's also something really special about events, isn't it? When it goes well, it really does give a buzz that very few other things can do.
It really gives a buzz. And every single event you're working with different suppliers as well. So whether you're doing a wedding in the countryside and you're dealing with a local florist, or you're dealing with a hire company in London that you know really well, it's just, you just build up all these relationships, which I think's really special. So at the end of the event, it's a really good job.
That's lovely. But let's go back another step, because your father is in law.
Mm-hmm.
Was the legal profession not something that ever appealed to you, or were you always more creative?
I studied history of art. No, I wasn't going to go down the law route. I certainly don't have that sort of brain.
You're more creative.
Far more creative. I take much more after my mother.
And was she a foodie as well?
Yeah, she's an amazing foodie. Nothing phases her. She has big dinners constantly. She's done friends' weddings. My grandmother's a caterer, my aunt's a caterer, my uncle works in cheese, my brother works in food. So
it really does run in the family.
Yeah, it's in the blood.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Obviously, after last year, you were thrown into the public eye quite a lot. You turned up on Sky News being interviewed, you turned up on BBC being interviewed, you became the face of a campaign. How was that?
That was really, really exciting. And as you know, really outside my comfort zone. It was really positive because I didn't know what to do, and I wrote a letter to Boris Johnson and just sort of banded it around the people that I knew, who then sent it on to other people, and they signed it, and I got all of this sort of traction going. And it was really interesting. It was talking to like the Indian wedding market. I didn't know, I'd never met these people, and suddenly all these people are knowing of me, and I've got people coming to my home to interview me. I had people coming to my office, and we did a little sort of trip to Parliament Square with other suppliers, and it was just brought everybody together. We were all in the same boat, and I didn't, when you're last year or before, we were all rivals, and in COVID we were all in the same boat, and so the only thing that we could really do was help each other, and I really felt that, and it felt really strong, and you sort of united.
It took you out of your comfort zone completely, because you're quite a naturally reserved one-to-one person.
I'm a very one-to-one person. Many of my friends probably wouldn't agree with you, but when you're doing this sort of stuff, it's different. But yeah, no, I didn't really. I always worry about what I might say, whether it's right or not.
And what's your greatest learning from that period of time? What came out of it from your point of view?
Oddly, that I quite like to do more public speaking.
That's good.
And that I do enjoy being outside my comfort zone. Feel the fear and do it anyway. But I would like to use the platform that I created then to help bring back the industry. I obviously can't do that on my own, but I feel that I could support other companies and other people within the industry to get back on their feet, and I hope that I will be able to do that.
I don't doubt you can. I mean, obviously that's what we want to do together, isn't it? We want to achieve something that really helps clients organise events again. Yeah. Because I think the sector is going to see a boom. Do you agree?
Absolutely. I think it's going to go bonkers, actually. A week ago, I didn't think that it was going to come back. And then obviously since Boris has put out a timeline, the noise and the energy, and then you've got a really sunny day like today, and I know people are thinking about events and people and connection and companionship and eating and being together and all of that, and I think that the urgency of it is sort of getting hyped up.
Yeah, I mean, they're talking now about a 30% uplift in events in Q4, which would be encouraging, wouldn't it?
I think we might be busy.
Well, it'd be nice, wouldn't it? So, in terms of events organising, what do you really enjoy about that side of things? What is it that makes it work and special?
It's all coming together. It's the beginning, middle, and end. I think that's why I really didn't like my first career, because I never felt that there was a beginning, middle, and end. Whereas with events, you get start off with a brief, and then in the middle you find all the suppliers, you bring everybody together, and then you end on a bang with this event, whether it's a really small thing or a very sort of beige event or really colourful creative event. It always ends with a sense of satisfaction of doing the best that you can for the brief that you've been given with the suppliers that you've got in the team around you.
I mean, one of the big trends that comes across when we talk is you love collaboration and team.
I love I think somebody once upon a time said to me that you can probably cut this bit out if it's not right, but to surround yourself with the best people that you can. So I believe I'm a jack of all trades, but I know the people, I could probably turn my hand to pretty much anything, but I could find a Michelin-starred chef to do the most amazing food, and I could find the most amazing lighting designer or the most incredible florist, and if you can pull those people together, you're going to get a much better job than what I do myself, even though I've got all of these ideas and visions going on in my head.
So when you were running your own business, do you see yourself as the boss, or did you see yourself as a creative? Or
more as a creative? I had a managing director who sort of ran and saw the day-to-day running of it, and then I came in and whirlwind around and then would leave. Yeah. Which was quite fun. But then I also like the detail of it as well. I like knowing the nitty-gritty of what's going on.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's going to be really a fascinating journey. What do you hope we're going to achieve?
I don't know at the moment. It's all quite new. I hope that in the collaboration that I think we'll be big players within the industry and the corporates. I think that we will. I don't really know. It's all quite new.
I think that's part of why this is actually a really interesting discussion, because actually the journey you've gone on in the last 18 months is huge, isn't it? Or even the last 14 months.
Oh, it's been absolutely massive. I lost 2 businesses and moved house a million times, and this is just really exciting. It's a breath of fresh air. It's the world is our oyster. I mean, literally, I completely feel that. I feel that COVID has destroyed, got rid of, removed, probably a lot of the stuff that wasn't doing it at its best potential. And we are now in a situation where we can come and create the best because we've got the experience behind us and we know what is the best to come out and deliver it without wading through.
Yeah, I mean, you touched on it, but it's really interesting, isn't it? I think lots of people feel the same way. But actually, can we correct the wrongs of what was going on before and be better? And can we learn that? I mean, when you look back, was the sector good enough at times?
No, I think there's so much complacency, myself included. I think that a lot of the time you get sort of set in a rut and you just do. And I'm sure lots of people don't, but I think that we've just been given this incredible opportunity to restart and to look at it with different, fresh eyes. So that's how I'm seeing it.
Yeah, look, I think that's absolutely right. And actually, the market, so there's been so many people made redundant on the marketplace. All those event organisers and corporates aren't there anymore. It should be quite a fascinating period of time. But also, the venues need help as well, don't they?
Yeah, well, I mean, I've been in touch with a few, and their response time to getting back is, I'm hoping they're upping their game a little bit. But I know that some of them don't have any staff in them anymore either, because they were all off furloughed or made redundant. So I think the venues are. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with all the tendering processes. They normally make everybody jump through, but everybody's going to need the work they can get. The venues.
Yeah. And how about the people? Because actually, the sector's been smashed, hasn't it? And there's got so much talent.
Well, hospitality overall has lost 700,000 people. I'm speaking to friends within the industry. All of their staff you've got a load of businesses that are run by the directors who probably haven't. I haven't cooked in 10 years. And then you've probably got these lighting directors who haven't done the electrics for a bit, and staffing agencies where they don't have any staff, and last time they donned an apron. So I think it's going to be quite interesting getting it back up and running, but I think the camaraderie will be there with all the people who've survived it.
Yeah, I think, but there's also some great people we need to bring back as well, isn't it?
Yeah.
I know your own teams, you really felt the loss of your own team, didn't you?
Well, all of my office staff have gone and got jobs outside the industry. So they are doing something else. I've actually just been in touch with most of my chefs today because bits and bobs are coming back in, and I just wanted to know what their availabilities were. And a lot of them have got work, which is great, but not necessarily doing what they want to be doing.
I mean, that's the interesting thing. You're still bringing on jobs now, aren't you, yourself? People are still contacting you, despite everything.
Yeah, exactly, which is quite fun.
You certainly run the gauntlet last year. How would you like to see things in 3 years' time?
I think I'd really like us to be a really big player within the industry and the corporate events. I'd like us to be a go-to that is trusted and reliable, and that people feel really comfortable, as well as which is based on the relationships that they know that they can trust us to bring in and deliver exceptional work. That's what I would like, and obviously that starts off this year. Quite nice to have a team behind us.
Be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, can you do the HR?
Okay, so obviously we're going to try and build something with clients right across the whole country, and again also internationally as well. How soon do you think the market will be back to strength?
In the UK?
How long a road out is it going to be?
I mean, this year I think people are going to probably be slightly nervous. I think if there's no relapse between June and Christmas, I think next year is going to be absolutely crazy. You've had 200,000 weddings that didn't happen last year. I mean, this is just the private side, and then you've got all the ones postponed from this year. So the private side is going to go bananas. And then the corporate side, once they've got everybody back into their office and they've nurtured their teams again, it needs to be client focused all the way. And I mean, I know that they'll be doing a lot of that this year, but the client entertaining will need to ramp up drastically.
Yes. Well, how do you feel about the virtual events piece? Because everyone keeps talking about virtual events, don't they? Virtual dinners.
You know my
Yeah.
I'm yet to be persuaded, but I understand why people are doing it, but I have only been to one virtual event and I didn't really enjoy it. I mean, maybe I didn't go in with it with enough enthusiasm, but
what type of event was it?
It was sort of more of a comedy night. I sort of felt like I was meant to be in Café de Paris, except I was probably sitting in my pajamas with a glass of wine, and you know, the laundry was behind me, and you know, I certainly didn't feel like I was there.
Yeah, I mean that's the hard bit. Is how do you create an experience, isn't it?
I much prefer one-on-one. I much prefer face-to-face. I don't particularly enjoy the Zoom element of everything when you can constantly see your own face off here, and it's sort of so distracting, whereas you don't notice obviously when you're face to face. So I don't know, I'm sure a lot of people enjoy it and it works, but
there's nothing that beats face to face, basically. We talked about the Goldman Sachs, didn't we?
Yes.
Your views on that? Because obviously
I think it's really important. I think it's really, really important that people get back into the office. Says me, who doesn't have one at the moment. I think you just bounce ideas off. You go and get a cup of tea, and you are talking about something. You don't harbour resentment so much when you're sitting next to somebody, or when you're bumping into somebody in the lift, or you just have those incidental conversations which you just won't have, and those ideas and that creative moment, which I don't believe you can get from the way that everybody's worked for the past year. I also think the commute is healthy. I think getting out of your home is healthy. Home is for home. I mean, I'm sure it's going to become a hybrid thing, but personally,
I don't know. Because everyone keeps saying, this is where the really interesting debate is, because actually quite a lot of people found what the Goldman Sachs comment was as offensive. But actually, I think clients will want to know there's disciplines in place and people working properly. But it's also about trust, isn't it? It's trust that your people working on your case or your account or your whatever as well as possible.
Yeah, I think people probably do work really well at home. You can work at a different pace. You can get up earlier and work and get back, and you haven't got, some people do commute a long time, but I think it's that creative spark that.
I think it's about relationships too, isn't it?
Yeah,
there's nothing to beat. Yeah, there's nothing to beating meeting somebody and having a coffee and just sharing ideas. And the thing I've noticed in Zoom is actually you can see a sales line a million miles away. It almost comes at you in slow motion in Zoom. It is interesting because actually it just doesn't work in the same way. So you've got to build relationships differently.
I'm really looking forward to getting back into London and wandering around and seeing people, and it's a bit different doing it this way. It's not my favorite way.
Well, it's been a strange time for you as well, in fairness. Who's your mentor in life? Who had the most influence in your career?
I've had a few. By word of mouth as a company was something that I really admired and looked up to. My friend he was there when he got me into By Word of Mouth, he's since left and now works at AYS. And he's somebody that I often phone up and talk about. I blame my entire career on him. So he's obviously been very influential. My family are like amazing, although a lot of them aren't in the industry, but we're all entrepreneurs. And so there's often those sorts of conversations, and that's really interesting. And then it's a really difficult one.
Because a lot of what you've done has been self-learning, hasn't it?
Oh,
You
yeah,
just kind of go up and do it. Yeah?
I've not been taught anything. It's completely intuitive, and there have been many mistakes on the way. But it's just been really fun. It's been the most amazing learning curve. And coming from so both my parents are entrepreneurs, my 3 siblings are entrepreneurs, my uncles all are, and it's really, there's always somebody to talk to. There's always somebody who's had a worse drama or situation, because that's the nature of working on your own. And I think I started out younger than my brothers. They both had proper jobs before they set out on their own, so they know how to use Excel and PowerPoint much better than I do.
As we all learn. But you always like that as a kid as well? Always brave and adventurous?
I don't think that's a trait that I feel I have, but I probably do. I don't know any different. So yeah, I suppose so.
You just push yourself forward.
Yeah, I think being one of 4, you've always got to, if you're going to do something, you've always got to push yourself, because otherwise somebody else will eat the food off your plate, or, you know, barge in.
A competitive family, obviously.
Just slightly.
So what's your favourite part of an event?
I love the behind scenes of the events. I am more comfortable, although I do love the front of house, and I would rather be working at an event than a guest at an event. And I love just watching all the cogs in motion when you've got the event up and running and the guests are beginning to arrive, and you just see and you stand back and watch the lights turning on, the food coming out, the drinks being poured, the service, and the slickness. I really get a bit of a rush off that. And I could take away the clearing up, but you know, but it's worth it for watching it all.
Yeah, I always love the meeting and greeting as people come.
Mm.
There's always a kind of sense of excitement, isn't there?
And the staff who work it, the really good staff who work it, you just watch them and they will give everything, anything. And you know that so many of them have sacrificed so much to get to where they are in their career, and that work that they've put in. And so many people just don't understand that. And knowing that hunger that these people have to do a really, really good job, I get thrilled of watching that.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of where you score, isn't it? Because actually you really do champion the sector. You do love the sector, probably more than me, I think.
I know no different. I started off in it very young. We were always waitressing for my mum or for my my aunt or somebody, just you know, always pouring champagne at some party or other.
Sounds like a great background. Hattie, look, it's going to be a pleasure working with you. Thank you for your time today. It's going to be good fun. Thank you so much indeed. Take care.